Last time on GoldTail D&D,
This time on Yu-Gi-Oh!
the party returned from clearing out an Ankeg nest, killing the eggs, defeating the queen, finishing off the hunters that could prove to be a threat to the city if they continued to burrow under the walls and find their way in. Nobody wants any more Ankegs erupting out of any taverns anytime soon, and so the party did their diligence and took care of the problem post-haste. Returning from that adventure, they checked in with Captain Gregian Daenor, the Gold Dragonborn, who this time, instead of feeling fat and sassy, seemed to be quite tired, overworked, and under budget. With a massive stack of paperwork on his desk and not much sleep banked into his brain, he gave them as much information as he could and as much reward as he could for their duty, while not being able to speak about much else. It seems that while the party was away and over the previous night, quite a few events had taken place. The party then split up to take on a couple of different tasks. Clume and Quinn went to the library to seek out information on dreams, while Warren returned to the chapel to try and figure out what the heck is going on with all this god nonsense that seems to be surrounding him. Adre, I think he took a nap.
Yeah, he took his grandpa nap.
My old man nap.
Adre took a grandpa nap, and Urist went to catch up with a friend of hers, Garnet Rhyme, who caught her up on the major events that had transpired just the night prior. And the events were significant. The royal wizard, answering to Lord Odinet himself, Tubei Zaldosic, had been assassinated in his tower. Hucked from the top of the tower, his body laying in the ground, causing the guard to be thrown up into a tizzy. Eyewitnesses report that a fuzzy, shadowy being was caught leaving the tower, crawling down it and escaping past the thin wall to escape the apprehension. There we go. I was looking for the word. There it was.
Did you say it scaled it scaled the short wall, the thin wall, rather?
Yes.
Oh.
Shortly thereafter, it was discovered by the guard that the royal wizard has been performing experiments, according to Garnet. The experiments involved the kidnapping of the Arcalan population and warping them in a variety of ways, adding animal-like features to their bodies, tails, claws, ears, all manner of things, according to the rumors, anyway. Many of these beings were apprehended and are currently in the custody of the guard, while others are still missing, apparently, or at large. Garnet also explained that Lady Daminor, Lysithia Daminor, could be involved, as she has She has been connected to a strange race that has been uncovered under the city, living in tunnels that crisscross underneath the foundation of Arcala itself. All of this knowledge packed into Urist's mind, she met up with the group and shared it across a lot of them. And just as they were wrapping up this information sharing session, a crash, a bang, and a loud call for aid came from the tavern's kitchen. A creature with 4 legs, 2 arms, 3 eyes, and a fedora on top of it all was asking for help for his companion, a female hellhound. A canine with black fur, a few red markings and blazing red eyes, who is hastily bandaged but heavily bleeding.
Mm-hmm. And is that where we're picking up?
That is where we are picking up. Now, Barry and Renard, I gave you both an image that was drawn by an artist named V Disco, who created this character and this entire race, actually. If you would like to share that with the chat so they can get a better look at this creature, because it is one that is a little bit hard to describe. So a little bit of visual aid may help.
Yeah, 1 second.
He's got a big old tuba. A mega duder, as Ifni says.
A mega duder?
This is a creature known as an imitar. The imitar is a race of whose ancestry can be drawn back to mimics themselves, and they have gained sentience. They have a few features, one of which is the ability to transform into everyday objects, barrels, chests, the same sorts of things that mimics do. But they are a people all their own. They raise their children that hatch from eggs, and they are just as capable of adventure as anybody else. They stand roughly 3 feet tall. And this character in particular is named Hutch, a member of the Three Barrel Band.
Do we recognize them then?
No. They're very underground as
new
a band.
New band.
Yes. Can somebody help me? I've got a wounded. She's been cursed.
So, Erst comes round. Erst is first on the scene, more or less.
There we go.
And the immediate thing she does is just snap off a healing word.
Okay.
So she holds out a hand.
I'm back.
Though that's just decorative, and says, "Be ye healed." Simple and plain and easy.
Okay.
I wonder if I. Yep,
Nice.
that works. 4. They heal 4 HP, which will at least be enough to keep them from dying, because 5e is real gentle about magical healing and how that all do.
Yes.
Erst goes ahead and leads the charge, walking up to them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Warren Himbo walks up as well.
calling briefly out back into the tavern. It's all under control. It's all good. And then lowers her voice to speak to the pair. So, looks like the two of you have something of a story. What's up?
So the healing word takes effect. You can see there's a few spots that seem less gushing blood than they were before. And the canine woman begins by kind of shoving the imitar a little bit to start to try to stand on her own. I'm not cursed, she growls. Hutch, the imitar, who hasn't introduced himself actually, returns with, "But we can't stop the bleeding. Look, it's all over the place." "Yeah, I just had some really bad cuts."
Never fear. So Warren cracks his heads. No, well, hold on. And he goes out and he tries to cast Healing Hand.
Healing Hand.
The Lay on Hands.
Lay on hands. Okay, roll a d6 for me.
To be fair,
Unfortunately-
Healing Hand is about Warren's level of
opposite.
understanding of the actual
Healing Hands, yeah.
spell.
Yeah.
Now, nothing happens because he doesn't have any left.
No.
Because
Never
he
mind.
hasn't
So you do not
rested.
have to roll a d6 then.
Yeah, so he goes and he's like, "Huh." Warren's very confused because he's never gotten to like do this fully before, so he doesn't really understand how Lay on Hands is supposed to work.
The wolf kind of looks at Warren with a glint of recognition in her eyes, and kind of shies away, not sure what to expect. And then when nothing happens, she just kind of slumps a little bit in a measure of relief.
It's like, oh, okay.
I do want to say during all of this, Adre's just watching wolf woman with those narrowed, suspicious old guy eyes, because she absolutely matches the description of the assassin.
Mm-hmm. This is probably not the best spot to turn into a medic's tent, however.
Oh, well, where should we go?
Let me see. It's going to be a matter of the subtlety. Ah, yes, I think that'll do nicely. As it so turns out, my estate is not too far from here, and I do believe that that we'll be able to get there rather without drawing a lot of attention.
Your estate.
Tis my family's.
She looks at Hutch, who looks at her. And then they both look at you.
She holds out a hand. Urst Eshtan. Not a noble. Dinna ye be worrying about anything of that sort. You needn't stand on ceremony. My clan is a proud group of smiths, workmen. You know, good folk.
They seem trustworthy to me. I'm Hutch. I'm part of the Three Barrel Band. But this is my friend. I'm Kimoto. It's good to meet you. Now, if you don't mind, I could use some more assistance.
Bat, tap, tap.
Erst looks to the other person still in the kitchen. Whom are they, and what are they up to?
They are a human woman. At first glance, seems humanoid. They have bright pink hair, and they are just watching with wide eyes. It looks like they were in the middle of preparing a big pot of stew.
Sorry to be a bother to you, lass. I'll be leading them out now. You needn't mind this none.
Please don't go spreading it around.
She kind of nods a little bit and says, "Good luck. I'll clean up afterwards. Just stop bleeding in my kitchen, please."
Just magically stop bleeding.
Erst ponders for a second and reaches into her pocket and takes out a small pouch with 5 gold in it and flicks it over for the cleaning fee and to make sure things are all smooth.
Much appreciated. She takes it, puts it in her apron, and prepares the mop. So, without further ado, you all usher out into the side streets.
Well, we more importantly, we get to the door there first.
Mm-hmm.
Then Erst makes the pair of them invisible.
Okay. So you're using invisibility.
Twice, in fact, yeah. Oh, no, sorry. Okay. The once, in fact. It is a concentration spell in this edition, I think. Mm-hmm. So, yes, we'll make her invisible for the time being, and we'll carry on a neat little conversation with Hutch. See, Erst is decidedly aware that if this is what we immediately suspect this is, that this is going to be a very, very wanted person in just a very short bit, which means if they are seen entering the Eshtan estate, that would be, a bad thing.
So, considering, the information that you've gotten and putting 2 and 2 together, you're like, could be a wanted criminal that we're dealing with, but we shall extend the aid that we can while we can. So, you cast invisibility upon Kimoto, and she vanishes, which causes Hutch to go into a bit of a panic for a moment.
It's all good. It's all good. Reach out your hand. She's still there.
He does so, and then gets slapped.
Not a little bit. I'm not sure where you reached, lad, but not there.
So, long story short, Hutch helps support Kimoto as casually as he can. Turns out this creature is quite sturdy and stocky, and Kimoto, for lack of a better term, rides him out into the open.
And Erst lends what help she can as the party is led back to the Eshtan estate once more, since surprisingly close.
So, traveling down the streets from the across the main street and then through a couple of side streets, you come upon Urist's father's estate, the grim and simple exterior leading into a wide and sparsely decorated interior. You go into one of the side rooms where Quinn helps in preparing a table, and the lot of you get together, work together to do what needs to be done to help stop the bleeding of this woman. What I'd like for you all to do is roll a group medicine check.
Uh-oh.
It's a lovely idea.
I'm going to bring down the average. Hold on.
We'll go ahead and guidance up that.
Okay.
Yeah, I will guidance warp.
18.
I'm gonna guide Warren.
What does guidance do?
Yeah,
It
add a
gives me-
1d4 to it.
I want D4. Okay.
Alright, so Audrey got an 18. I got a 12.
A 5.
Okay.
That was a low roll.
You said guidance, so did you want to guide yourself, or were you guiding somebody else?
No, I forgot. That's not on this character.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Okay, and you have a d4. You got.
Yeah. So that's 10.
Ooh, a 10.
Right smack in the
Okay.
middle.
And then we will roll a medicine check for Quinn as well. Nice. Bringing up the average. So, here's the situation. As you all prepare the impromptu operating room, it's not really that bad. What you quickly find, and as Kimoto kind of helps to explain it in a bit of blood loss delirium, she's been cut very deeply in a few places along her body, mostly her arms and legs. It seems that what you all need to do, and you come to this conclusion very, very quickly, is use what healing spells you can. In lieu of that, the most immediate thing is to apply tight bandages over, applying pressure to the open wounds. The current bandages that are on her are just not adequate. But working together, you manage to get fresh bandages from Urist's home supply cabinet, let's say, and manage to redress Kimoto and help her to rest. Okay, that helps immensely. The worst of the wounds seem to slowly stop bleeding, and she gets a little bit more color into her fur, let's say. But she's not quite out of danger.
Oh.
It seems that because of her blood loss, Kimoto has become a little bit delirious. She kind of fades in and out of consciousness. Hutch, where are you? And Hutch comes scuttling along. I'm right here. What do you need? What do you need? Something to drink. Right, and Hutch looks to Urist.
Urst nods. I need to have a quick word with my dear pa anyway. So Urst looks at the patient, and then after a moment's consideration, nods. Water, definitely water. In a rather short bit, Urst runs for and gets a pitcher of water and a couple of glasses and other drinking implements, and then making sure the room is still secure, runs off to briefly let her father know that something's afoot.
Who did this to her?
Well, I'll be quite honest. I don't really know. She just came looking for me, and she was all bleeding bad. I did what I could, but I don't know much, and so I said we should get some help, and she didn't want to, but I'm glad we did. That's long and short of it.
Clume kind of walks up over to where she's laying down, and kind of gently slaps her face to try to prevent her from like slipping out again.
She kind of
And-
shakes a little bit and wakes up and looks at you with a very weak frown.
Who did this to you?
And it's almost like reflex. You get the sense that this is just a thing that they say out of complete reflex, where she just says, "Who's asking?"
Me.
Me.
Who
That's the, like-
who are you, and who are all of you people?
Gloom looks at the others, and she's like, "The fuck are we calling us?"
I'm afraid we still don't have an official name. But we can introduce ourselves.
Gloom walks up to Warren, and then looks at Rocky. Like, this is all sarcastic, and she's like, "Why don't you come up with a name for us?"
Oh
no.
Oh, but of course. Sorry, I was a little distracted. You know, the power seemed to be on the fritz right now. But don't worry. Let's see here. He kind of
First's
looks.
hands slowly move towards her vest.
He looks around at everyone. He's like, should we go with defenders of something? Let's see. Probably. Let's see. The group of justice. Let's see. The Justicars. That sounds pretty good. I like the word justice.
It's too holy.
It's a work in progress, but I do believe that leaving a question that's gone unanswered. Erst smiles down at the poor wolf, and once again introduces herself. As I said before, I'm Urist Eshtan. I'm Urist Eshtan. Gosh, that was harder to get out today than it should have been. She gestures around the room. These are my compatriots.
So after he introduces himself, he kind of looks at her for a moment and then asks, listen, even though Clue already asked, he'll ask again. So what happened?
She kind of rolls her head a little bit to look at you, and she, again, reflexively says, "Who's asking?" Oh, sorry. Would you believe I was attacked outside the walls?
Not really.
That generally
Not
happens.
surprising. That's not surprising.
I suppose it's possible.
Then let's go with that.
Insight check.
Go for it. A personal- yeah, so it's very obvious that they're lying.
Yeah.
Real obvious. Then in their kind of, in the state that they're in no shape to put on anything other than the most cursory attempt at lying.
Clem kind of just pulls on Quinn's pants and just kind of says, "What caused the wounds? I saw you looking at them earlier."
Hard to say. Could have been a weapon of swords, a dagger, a rapier.
Were you escaping from prison?
No, I was not escaping from prison.
Insight check.
Go for it.
Oh no.
Yeah, why
Inside
not?
everything.
Oh my goodness.
And
Oh.
Okay.
got to get the bad rolls out
24.
early.
Uris, do you think she's lying?
From me.
Bloom,
I got 24.
you can tell that she's telling the truth very much. So
Okay.
with a natural 1 for Urist and a 24 for Bloom.
Complete
Yeah,
parallel.
you're on complete opposite ends of the spectrum here. Urist, do you think that she absolutely escaped from, if not prison, some other sort of dungeon? While Clume, you can tell that this is not something that she's attempting to lie about.
All right, I think it's time to use Erst's true ability here.
Another insight check.
Well, I mean, we'll hold that for a second. But no. Erst is going to attempt to use either deception or persuasion, depending on if the GM thinks persuasion is appropriate, to briefly talk with her about the circumstances, get her on a roll, and then drop in a question to try to get her to slip up and admit to something that she may not if she was following the conversation strongly.
Yeah, okay, so go ahead and roll a persuasion check. I'll even give you advantage because
Ayo.
you did cast invisibility, a very potent, as far as she's concerned, magical spell, to hide her away into this. So I'll give you advantage on that persuasion.
Ayo.
All right, so let's make the roll first, and then I'll give you the bit of RP to go with it.
Sure.
That's a 22, thanks to advantage.
Excellent. Okay, so what do you do?
All right, let me make sure I have the name right. So, you're outside the walls then?
Yeah, something like that.
Must have been. Well, we were out there too not too long ago, facing those ankegs. The wounds you have kind of looked like the piercing of their pincers.
Yeah, on cakes, right.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you got off awfully lucky to not be hit by their acid.
Right.
And I suppose and this couldn't have been that long ago, so you must have gotten right back into the city quick.
Yeah, I know my ways in and out.
It's good that you did. It'd be worrying if you were out beyond the walls as things got later. Just imagine something else had found you.
Oh, yeah.
So you got back in the walls, sorry, the name of the mimic spawn is Hutch, was it?
Yep, Hutch.
And then Hutch must have found you right quick then and begun to bandage you up.
And then that's when Hutch comes up with an interruption. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Now, come to think of it, Komodo came in from the west tunnels, so that would make a whole heck of a lot of sense. And Komodo kind of gives Hutch a glare.
Sorry.
He quickly shuts up.
Erst cocks her head before thinking the west gate. Nobody's really called it that very often, but yeah, I suppose that fits. So you came in through the west gate. Erst shoots Ardre a brief look. So you came in through the west gate, and then you got here quick, and Hutch bandaged you up.
Yeah.
And when you looked a little too much for that, that's when you came to us.
Right.
And Erst is trying to roll her quick, and then keep making sure that she's giving the responses on the beat, so to speak. She then follows up with, "And was that before or after you stabbed that Zeldosic fella?"
Wait. Who are you talking about?
Erst chuckles to herself and draws a brief X over her lips with a single finger. Dinna you worry. I heard nothing in specific.
At that point, Komodo kind of slumps back, even though she doesn't have a whole heck of a lot further that she can slump.
Off the chair.
And she says, "Look,
Delicate times. We're within my estate, and even here, it's possible that the walls might sprout ears.
then let's
will-
not say anything too delicate."
You, weary traveler, will rest up, be well cared for, and then I'm sure there'll be an opportunity to talk.
No, you don't understand. I need to get back out there.
I did not understand. You're correct. All right. Erst paces briefly, sort of hands behind her back, and rapier and short sword clattering briefly together as she turns, and then back to the position. All right. Where exactly do you need to be going, if I can ask?
She turns to Hutch and says, "You tell him. I'm worried I won't get the details right." And Hutch kind of shuffles up and makes himself look important.
Ernst crouches down just a little bit.
And he says, well, here's the thing. Y'all already know that I exist, and so it stands to reason that more of my kind exist. But we typically don't make our homes on the above ground of Arcala. It's usually the underground of Arcala, where me and my kind, known as the Imitar, have been settling. And we're not the only ones that's, we kind of get along as well we can with some of the other creatures down there. Different kind of, dark preferring sort of creatures, you know what I mean? So, anyway, I've been working with Komodo for some time on some information brokering, I suppose you could say. And what that has allowed me to do is become privy to some rather sensitive information.
Erst holds up a hand.
Yes.
While I do wish to hear more of this, and quite a bit more of this indeed, for the moment, let me keep things simple, yeah?
Oh, well, right.
Is it something you need to get or something you need to give?
Well, no, actually, it's someone, plural, someone's that we need to rescue. Yeah. So when the events of the prior evening took place, that seemed to have unlocked a lot of doors that previously had been unknown or hidden or otherwise obscured from our vision. And that created quite a panicky situation down on the underground. And, well, you see, Komodo, heart's in a good place, so I really like her. I trust her. I trust her to take an arrow for me. I would take an arrow for her. That's what I mean to say. So, anyway, what I'm trying to say is there's a few of the, what do we call them? Are we calling them mutants or degenerates or what are we talking? We're calling them mutants. Right, so we're calling them mutants. So there's some of them that still have a chance to be redeemed and potentially cured of their affliction. So we were trying to get them into good hands with some of the priests that work in the Imitar Society. So that was our major goal, but apparently things did not go to plan. So that's where we are now.
Meaning no disrespect, I don't think you're in any fit state to be doing much rescuing.
Wait, did I hear rescue?
Sooner than later, but when is something to be seen yet.
Oh, so he kind of hurriedly waddles up to Komodo, and he's like, "Fear not, for we shall go and do the rescue for you. We are very capable. If you just point us in the right direction, we could get right on it."
And at that, Komodo is just kind of watching you very suspiciously. Hutch kind of perks up and says, well, you see, that's the kicker is that it's a little bit more complicated to get into the underground of Arcala than you would normally think, seeing as it has to go through the Foundation.
Let us make sure we're keeping our priorities in the right order. Is it something that we need to be addressing immediately? Is it something that can wait for 8 hours to regain strength, or 6? I don't know, whatever it happens to be in this edition.
But if
she turns away from that fourth wall.
Yeah.
But if they're in danger, we must save them immediately.
It's 8, by the way, unless said otherwise.
Thank you.
So Komodo kind of gives a growl to that. She says, the longer that we wait, the more people could get hurt and lose control of themselves or hurt others.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but if we go out tonight I'm basically gonna be worthless. I need some sleep.
First nods. I'm nearly spent as well.
Oh, War gets a little fidgety. He's like, "The people are in trouble. We have to save them."
Well, Warren, if we go right now, we're gonna need saving.
How dangerous could it possibly be?
Quinn doesn't
Actually,
even answer. She drags Quinn, starts heading towards the door.
actually, that be quite the good question here. Hutch, my good Imitar?
Imitar. Yeah, you said it right.
Exactly how much resistance to rescuing are we expecting there to be?
Well, you see, that's the kicker. We don't really know.
We don't really know.
The part of the caves that this particular dungeon was inhabiting was a part that was rather closed off from the rest of the lower levels, I guess you could say. A little bit of a taboo to go into that particular region.
I
There's
imagine.
not a whole lot of knowledge. Some people would go in there and they'd be coming out just fine. It's not like it's, death incarnate or anything like that that would be back in there. But that's what you're looking at. It's probably going to be a little bit. No normal, sane person would go in there. Just kind of how people view the outside of the wall. That's how we view that particular area of the thing. It's pretty much. If you think of it from a top-down view, where they have that thin line, that's generally where you don't want to go when you're underground. So the thin wall, that is, the thin wall, I think that's what they call it. Right?
Subtle.
Oh, right, yeah.
But I believe I've gotten the picture, yeah. And this means that if and we just traipse our way in, waltzing as merry as you please, it's probably that there's going to be no wee number of beasties waiting for us, and a few that aren't actually beasties in the head, or not entirely.
Yeah, see that's the problem, at least as far as Komodo and a few others have explained to me, is if the mutants have lost control of their personalities, I suppose they could themselves become a rather dangerous foe. So I would advise caution.
How well is the leadership of the Undercity acquainted with the leadership of the Upper City?
Oh, almost not at all. We refer to Greg and Danor as the Bloodhound. We don't like him. He doesn't like us.
Very straightforward.
Aye, that be what I was worried about.
Look, all right. Unless this place is gonna take a couple days travel, which I'm pretty sure it's not, I suggest we all get some sleep so that way we don't die. Because I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to die.
So I'm afraid that we and you are going to need to rest and recover our strength before we can do much more about this.
Fine, I guess. That's just how it has to be.
Warren suddenly barks out, "Banner of the Unbroken Wall!" That sounds pretty good, don't you think?
Erst's mouth opens for a second, closes, and her eyebrows raise. You might be onto something there, lad.
So arrangements are made. There are guest rooms in the Eshtan estate, and so you are all given leave to choose your own room if you wish out of the selection that are available. Each of them are rather Spartan and rather simple and small. The beds are hard, but the sheets are clean and soft. So you take the evening planning to, before the crack of dawn, get out and where you need to be and try to help whoever needs helping, these people. You do get a couple of extra details out of Komodo, that you're looking for people that may be mutated or experimented on, but that still have their personality intact. And that's what you're hoping to achieve. Hutch says that he will tell you how to get there, but otherwise he would prefer to stay with Komodo to make sure that she continues to rest.
I am terribly sorry for bothering you so late, but I would like to get Rocky all situated up before too much longer. And if things in the way he like positions it off to the side, make sure that like he takes the little blanket he was using as a sling and makes a little bed on the top of it, and then he puts Rocky very carefully down in the center of the dresser.
Rocky immediately crumbles to dust. No, I'm kidding.
Rocky falls, everyone dies.
Rocky falls, everyone dies.
Something to help him, your runes, they seem very powerful. I've seen that you apparently can set your weapons on fire and whatnot. I was wondering if you had anything that could enhance Rocky, make him bigger, maybe make him more powerful,
Okay, so Riley, with in regards to what I messaged you about the last time, should I roll an Arcana check?
Go ahead and roll an Arcana check.
Oh boy.
Before Rocky dies.
15.
15. Okay, that's really good. You stare at this rock in your delirious state, mind just going blank, right?
Yeah.
What do?
What?
But, Warren says that they want Rocky to be big and strong, and there is a rune for giant that is the rune that the giants themselves use to describe themselves. It is not a rune that has magical power, as far as you are aware. It is not like the fire rune that you use on your weapons. But there's also nothing stopping you from trying to imbue magic into it as you inscribe it. You know this, and so I leave the decision up to you. Do you place the rune upon Rocky, just the casual, regular, non-magical rune, or do you try to imbue magic into it?
Well, I'm just rolling this for myself. Yes, we do.
Okay.
We decide. Yes.
Oh boy. Yes.
So now I need you to roll a d6.
Oh, what the fuck are we creating?
The perfect weapon.
We'll find out.
You inscribe the rune for giant on the stone, on Rocky the Rock. A simple gray, fist-sized rock. Without the heavy rune, it is its normal weight, which is good. With this rune, as you imbue magic, you can feel just as you would when inscribing a fire rune that magic is being accepted into the rune. Before your very eyes, as soon as you finish inscribing it onto a flat surface of this rock, it begins to grow.
Oh no.
Does Clue hear it growing?
No, it makes no sound.
Great.
It
Oh no.
begins to grow larger and larger, doubling in size, and then tripling from its original size before it eventually settles. And now what you have is a rock that is roughly the size of a person's head.
Warren is clapping his hands together.
It
Very
does not change in
excitedly.
shape. It does not change in any other qualities, but it is now a rock that is 3 times larger.
Bloom peeks out from like the very end of the blanket, and she kind of looks like a cat when you pet their head and you push their ears back. And she looks out from underneath the blanket, notices what the hell is going on, sees Warren clapping, and then just goes back underneath the blanket.
So Warren does turn over.
Oh no.
Hell no. It's like, Miss Klum, if I do have a few questions for you as well, if you have a moment.
You just hear a fake snore.
Oh, curses. I'll have to ask her later then. She's a very sound sleeper, I have to say. Thank you so much,
His
Quinn.
son.
Son, this is my son.
You all rest.
At long last.
Yeah, sorry.
Long last, you return Rocky to Warren. Warren finds his way, stumbling back to his room. And you all get your full rest. So, HP is back up, spells are replenished, and all these kinds of things. And of course, in the environment that you know that you are going to have to go into a deep, dark, dangerous place very, very, very soon. So, because you were just in one, you're exhausted enough to sleep well, but that's still in the back of your mind. Oh, here we go, adventuring again. This is when you will all be rested enough, and through your own personal planning with the group, you will all have kind of determined this is probably when it's time to get up and get on this so that you can get on it as quickly as possible. You have a simple and hearty breakfast, and you check in on your guests. Komodo is completely asleep, and Hutch is kind of watching over her. He's when you first enter the room, you'd see that Hutch is not there, but there's an extra nightstand that wasn't there before. And then when he sees that it's you, when he sees that it's you entering the space, he turns back into himself from one of the nightstands.
That's a good trick.
Yeah, it's just what us Imitar can do. Little thing that allows us to kind of blend in with our surroundings a little bit. But anyway, I assume y'all are getting ready to head down into the tunnels, the Undercity, I suppose you could call it.
But of course. And he kind of looks at Ernst.
Oh, sorry. I should turn Earth's reactive back on.
If a shepherd druid made pie, would it automatically make it a shepherd's pie?
You shut your mouth, Barry.
You put that sentence back in your mouth.
Put that sentence back in your mouth.
I do believe everyone is prepared and ready to go with their equipment all shined and proper.
Komodo here, she's a good person. She's been doing real well by me and by people that don't do so well out in Arcala. So if you do this, it'd be a mighty good thing, for everyone.
Insight, no.
Insight.
Tis my suspicion that the upper and lower cities are going to be getting a little more aware of each other in relatively short order here, and I'm hoping that that's going to be more peaceful than we are worried about.
I certainly hope so. Having, any creepy crawlies down there to make it more dangerous and more difficult is only going to make it harder for everyone, I think.
Just so.
Anyway, so I need to tell you how to get down there. Here's what you're gonna do.
Playing the heist music intensifies.
Perfect. And we huddle up to get the heist planning montage done.
Yes, and there is a total jibber jabber of explanation that Hutch gives you. It's very, very clear that most of it is hogwash.
Of course.
Having to, make certain poses at certain times of day and all these kinds of things, and, having to whistle a certain tune in a certain location, all just a bunch of bogus. But finally, he does give you a silver coin. It's large. It's larger than any coin that is used in the local currency. If you spread your hand all the way out, it's probably about that size, going all the way around your fingers and all the way around your palm. So it's a big, silver dollar, bigger than even a silver dollar sort of thing. It's a big coin. On its surface, one surface it has a variety of bumps and pits, and on the other side has an image of a dragon. A dragon with very many horns. Some small, some large, but all of them kind of collectively swooping backwards over its head, and a very angular snout that comes into kind of an axe head sort of shape, with the tip of its nose going all the way down to kind of an extended chin.
Riley self-insert.
Hush.
Oh,
But he gives you this coin. And he says, and when you get down to that basement, you need to press this into the door. You'll see the slot for it, and just give it a quarter turn, and that will open the path that I use to get down into probably the closest entrance to the thin wall.
And with that, Erst sets about making sure that the last couple of things are in order, and also takes a moment to get a brief talk with her father. It basically goes to this tune.
Okay.
This fella here, he's looking for this big fat rock to be made into a big fat maul that he can hit people with. What you
Rock is
think?
not fat. She's just big rocked.
This rock.
Aye, possibly a slightly heavier version of this rock.
Oh,
He's just giving you this incredulous look because you know the quality of this rock. It is not a good rock for smashing things. In fact, it is one of those rocks that it wouldn't really take all that much for it itself to split in half.
Oh no.
She gives him an expression where Warren can't see, which basically says, "Give it to him straight."
Uh-oh.
Oh. Listen, Paladin.
Yes.
be acknowledged as a paladin.
It's very
This is a
exciting.
rock.
Indeed. It's a very good rock.
Well,
Uh-oh.
he begins to sprout off a couple of traits that this rock has. From its coloration, to the specks of granite that are inside of it, to the various facets that it has and the erosion that it has across it. But ultimately, he finally, it spouts all this off. It's more than Warren's brain can handle. And at the end of this short rant of dwarven quality of rocks, he finally says, and this rock is not a weapon rock.
Oh, what kind of rock is he?
Well,
Urs just sort of nods encouragingly.
Well.
he strokes his beard, really thinking about what the hell he would use this rock for.
It's like,
It's possible that you could make arrowheads out of it.
Warren gets a little horrified at the thought of turning Rocky into a bunch of arrowheads. It's like, but Rocky,
In an emergency situation, if you didn't have any metal, you could use these in a survival situation. Break this rock into small, tiny, sharp pieces.
never.
Cast over his heart.
But the essential issue is the sedimentary nature of the rock and the fact that it's going to come apart if it's used too viciously. So unless it can be hardened according to the 3 dwarven scales of hardness, and have its other traits addressed.
Aye, my daughter speaks true. This, well, now that I look at it,
It's like, he must have grown
it could
too much
be
too fast.
that there's a geode inside of this. Have you given it the old knock?
Is that safe? I don't want to hurt poor Rocky.
Honored father, you know how young dwarves can get when they have their first pet rock.
I remember my first pet rock. Sandy. She was a great one.
All this from one fucking rock.
I am so glad I just handed it off to him on that walk.
The best thing ever.
And to this day, I'm quite fond of Bartholomew myself.
Oh God.
Oh, I need to.
You wouldn't let that one go for a good 3 solid weeks out of your left hand.
Well, when you find the one rock that just fits your palm,
Yes, yes. Still, it's a bit odd. Anyway, don't turn this rock into a weapon, son.
Is there something that I could do to harden him or something? Maybe did he grow too fast, too quickly? Oh no! Oh.
Honored father, why don't you go ahead and give it a quick knock? Nothing that'll hurt it, of course.
Right. And he pulls out a drawer, and inside the drawer, immaculately organized, are a series of small tinkering hammers. All of them the same make, all of them the same material, as if they're a perfect set, going from a teeny tiny one that's no bigger than a finger, all the way to a large, proper hammer-size hammer. He takes one of the medium-sized ones, one that's about the length of his hand, pulls it out. It has a nice brass hammer tip. One side has a pointed end, and the other side has a flat end. He brings it up.
Okay, Warren.
He puts his ear to the rock.
He doesn't look, he's a skull, so he can't look any paler than he already is, but he looks like he's about ready to pass out.
He puts his ear up to the rock and gives it a tap, and another tap, and then a tap, tap, tap. And then he puts the hammer carefully away back in his drawer, shuts it, steeples his fingers, and says, "Aye, this rock's hollow."
Oh.
Oh. Is that bad?
Wait, Gloom?
No.
Like, upon hearing that the rock is hollow, Gloom,
Like Warren's head.
Gloom is going to go up to the rock, because this has been literally on my mind. Riley, you know, Gloom is gonna go up to Rocky.
Okay.
And Gloom's going to... I want to make, if it's okay with you, a nature check, because I don't think this is a fucking rock at all.
Yeah, go for it. Dirty
Oh.
20. Guess what? It is a rock.
Because
It is a sedimentary rock, so it is made up of, pieces of material that have been compressed into this shape and then eventually have been unearthed, but that is what this is.
Okay.
It is strange, though, that this would be a hollow one. If it was made up of sediment that came to rest, there's no reason it would be hollow.
Well, that's not entirely true.
Oh, go ahead and give us the lowdown.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to be in character for this one. All right, so you know how sedimentary rocks are formed when other forms of rock, igneous, metamorphic, anything that's propped up, gets shaved off and manages to find its way down, be it silt, gravel, sand, whatever else, and gradually compressed by pressure, water, heat, and so on and so forth into a solid layer. Well, every so often, once it's solid, you can get cracks that form, and you can get other pockets of air or other materials which can indeed form a more elaborate depths to it. This can also be caused when certain sorts of things can be carried away by the action of water or other substrates within the rock itself. And if there is water passing through a hollow rock, it can leave things behind too, which can grow into crystals. Thus, geodes can form not just an igneous rock, but inside sedimentary rock too.
Warren just
Audrey.
tilts his head.
Or
Audrey gives that sudden old guy laugh. Ha! Your kid's pregnant.
Oh my god.
What?
or
Warren is like,
the DC could have just been higher than 20 and it's still not a rock.
Aye, Padunk, this has been a rock fact.
rock fact. It's like,
been
Soren's like,
rocked.
wait. Oh, it's a she-rock? Oh, I didn't know. Oh, goodness. I don't know if I'm ready for more rocks.
I'm not ready to be a grandpa. A granddad.
It was all moving so fast.
Gloom kind of like trying to keep up with Udis telling a rock fact. The fact that Andre is laughing his ass off. The fact that Warren looks like he's probably gonna break down crying if he could shed tears. Gloom's just like, do we have a fucking job to do?
For now, we're just going to set off. We can solve the mystery of the rock when we return.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Having
Let's
dropped
get
off Rocky
going.
and gotten together, you follow Hutch's instructions, not to the letter, but close enough. These instructions take you to an abandoned house, deeper into the Nobles District. This abandoned house takes a little bit of stealthing to get to, a little bit of sleuthing, but eventually you find it. Entering the basement of this house, Urist, you know of this house. This house used to belong to an ancient elven family that effectively, for lack of a better term, went extinct. But curiously, it is this house's basement that you find yourself going into. With some of that perception, I can also tell you that you can tell that this path has not really been used very often. Or rather, that Quinn notices is that the people that have been using this path have been very, very cognizant to clear up their tracks. Or to hide their tracks by casting dust or flour over an area to make sure that it remains looking dirty and untouched. So, heading down into this dingy basement, you can see that there are a variety of cobwebs down stone steps and into a larger room beneath that has been cleared out of anything important. There's not even furniture around this area. It is a large blank stone room, at the far end of which is a single door.
All right. So he told us to head to the basement and find an indent, right?
Yes.
And that would be this, and that the indent was in this particular door, presumably.
Exactly.
All right. So covering our tracks on the way in, just a little bit of attention to that at least.
Sure.
We'll go ahead and check out the door.
Okay. The door is a metal door. Very, very sturdy in make. It looks like there's a ring of rivets that goes all the way around the edge of this door. And in the center is a small inset that is the exact same size and shape as the coin you were given.
I am going to take the role of rogue here. I look for
Okay.
traps.
Go for it. Okay. This would be an investigation or perception, whichever you prefer.
Just throw Warren at the traps.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, well, that's an 8.
You see no traps.
Warren, open the door.
But of course, he just walks. Just like it's clearly his mind isn't here right now. He just grabs the door and opens.
So it is locked.
It's like,
Erst pats his shoulder and then gently inserts the coin and gives it a little twist.
Okay. You
like,
give the
oh.
coin a quarter twist and you hear a series of metallic clunks and clangs behind this door. They're not necessarily loud, but in this quiet space with stone walls and stone floor, it echoes significantly. And so it feels louder than it really is. The door swings open inward of its own accord, leading to a rather bright staircase. There are small slivers of silvery something that is glowing inset into the walls and into the stairs and into the ceiling. The walls are perfectly straight. The stairs are perfectly even and flat. And it all seems to be made out of marble.
Oh.
Except for these silvery strands that glow and create this soft golden light going
So-
all the way down.
Carved or lane?
Impossible to tell.
The GM says to the dwarf. All right,
Yeah.
all right, I'll take it.
Yeah, you come up with that question, and so what I would tell you to do is roll a investigation or a perception check, whichever you prefer.
Yeah, that'll work. I mean, it makes sense. And 5. Yeah, all right.
Impossible to tell.
The dice are not with me today.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Well, here's what happens. You look at this marble. First of all, you've never heard of marble that glows. Second of all, there are no seams. There are no marks of any kind.
Oh.
This was if this was not laying here, you would expect there to be some sort of natural or rather man-made, error of some kind.
Chisel
But the walls
mark, that
are
sort of thing.
perfectly flat.
Huh. All right. Well, we retrieve the coin and on we go.
You step into this staircase. It is wide enough that you can travel down it two at a time, shoulder to shoulder. But for more comfort, one at a time is fine.
Passive Valor Trace lasts for an hour, just so you know.
Lasts for an hour. Great.
Okay.
It takes you maybe 30 or 40 feet downward before suddenly the marble ceases and a much more normal stone takes its place. The stairs do not continue, the perfect walls do not continue, the glowing essence does not continue. Now you have what you would expect out of a bedrock that a foundation has been laid upon. Hard stone that has been hammered away, chiseled at, sometimes clumsily, but otherwise making this kind of rough mimicry of this perfectly smooth and clean tunnel that you passed through before. These stairs then finally open up into a hallway. And this hallway stretches out into here.
Oh, I gotta move this.
You'll have to scroll down a little bit to see in the bottom right-hand corner.
There we go.
The hallway made of more naturally chiseled stone finally opens up into a more natural cavern. The cavern is completely dark, but I know many of you have dark vision.
Cut us off
pretty
half the
covered.
time.
I did.
Don't we all have dark vision? Oh no, Warren doesn't.
Then Warren's
Warren doesn't.
disabled.
Warren is very blind. It's quiet, dusty,
Too quiet.
and there are two paths that you seem to be able to go towards. One is to the west, and the other is to the north.
Okay,
All
so
right.
we're already at a crossroads.
Quite. We're now when we discussed with our dear shape-changing friend, acquaintance,
Yes.
did we establish where we were actually going to have to go for this? Because I assume we did.
He said from here, you'd be close to the thin wall. And if you make a survival check, you'll be able to tell which direction you should go to reach that.
Sure, let's go ahead and give that a shot.
Since we were all near him, listening in a conversation where it was, can we do a group survival check or?
Let's start with Urist and see how well that is, and if you don't do well, then...
Yeah, this is gonna be a thing. Hey,
Okay.
17, not bad.
Yeah, because the stairway was so straight, you did not get turned around at all. You know that on this map, west is west and north is north.
Quite. Excellent. So yeah, Urst shares that with the party. It'd be to the west that would ultimately go in to get under the wall. Though, I didn't know where all these passages lead.
Okay.
Well, then, why don't we start with heading west?
It's like, oh, but of course.
And west we go.
Warren's like, he starts moving. He's like, which way is west?
Straight ahead, my lad, straight ahead.
Oh, of course, yes. He's gonna move one step at a time so everyone can fall in behind him.
Okay, very good. Casting your light nervously about, you begin to enter the cavern proper. You can see signs of life. There are places where people have been working here, it seems. Digging out parts of the earth, taking it from looking natural and naturally eroded to purposefully shattered and carved out as if this was some sort of mine. There are little bits of boxes and barrels and signs of footprints in the dust. But many of these things are very aged, so it's difficult to tell in the dim light how old or how recent any of this has happened. You continue your quest forward until you hear a fluttering.
It's like, oh.
A fluttering.
A fluttering.
About what point do we hear that? Go ahead and give us a drag forward until we're there.
Right about here,
Perfect.
you hear a fluttering from the north. What you do see are little pinpoints of what appear to be gray light, and then you see, and they seem to come in pairs, and then there's more of them.
Wait,
And there's more of them, and you realize that these pairs are eyes,
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
and they're moving, and they're watching you.
Even with our
And then there's a bigger one.
That's fine, I'm sure. Warren's just staring off at where he can see to the left. It's like,
Yep.
It's clueless.
So Quinn, actually, let me double check first. Yeah, 60
Okay.
is enough for me for Ernst to see some as well.
What do your Herringon eyes see?
Don't step on my line like that.
I guess also since everyone already said that they took out their weapons, the moment that we entered this place, Clum had her staff and shield out.
Do you think we're about to get attacked by a group of bats?
I believe so. I do see a large one in the very back of that cavern.
These monsters and beasties aren't really my expertise. Do any of you know what the odds are that if we, just keep going, they won't bother anyone?
I'm pretty sure they think we're encroaching already.
Warren, why don't you come here and stand with us too?
It's like, oh.
Wait, Warren. Wait.
He stops.
What if the light irritates them and causes them to charge?
That's fair.
We should just
Barry,
keep.
you're a smart one. I was so ready to just start combat right now.
So let's inch our way forward then. Keep an eye open, but not encroach upon baddie territory.
Okay.
After all, we can't stop here.
Yes,
Yeah,
indeed.
and Quinn will
back.
follow along in the rear, just
Hey,
keeping an
someone
eye
got it.
on the bats as they go.
Okay.
Okay.
So you continue along, Warren's light leading the way, and you get to about this point here. And let me check. There's what looked to be a stalactite.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Has eyes that are watching you,
Oh.
Oh.
peering from the darkness, hanging from the ceiling, with tentacles gripping into the ceiling, blending into the stone above.
Guess who's
This is
first?
unironically my favorite low-level monster.
Oh, the arms.
Oh yes.
We're about to get
But
huggy
otherwise,
wuggied.
it's standing. It's staying there, remaining still as stone, watching you. And you have passed right underneath it.
Well, it didn't digress. Warren is
So-
clueless.
None of the rest of us noticed this?
Not yet.
Blue, how are you handling it?
Warren, stand right there.
Clum being her little anti-self, immediately puts her foot down and causes everybody to kind of like bum rush into her except for Warren. Who, for Warren, she pokes the back of him with her quarterstaff, and essentially like tells him with the staff, kind of like points towards them and shows everyone them. without saying a word. And do they look like aggressive or hostile, or they look like they're just trying to vibe and not be disturbed?
Make a perception check.
Perception, okay. Oh my god.
Impossible to tell.
Just keep walking, it'll be fine.
Not with yet another that's 2 natural ones in a
Yeah?
row there, Barry.
Dang.
Plus the one that I rolled. Holy moly.
And
Alright, Clue is going to kind of hand signal because she doesn't know if these things are attracted to words or sound. Consider that passive without a trace kind of muffling all of us. She's going to like hand signal, like keep an eye on them, but keep moving slowly. And then she readies herself where if any of them immediately attack, she will strike.
Okay, great. So
Warren is
Warren,
on
you
the
continue pressing forward. You get to about this point, and your lamp shines. I'm gonna try to hide and reveal certain things as well. More of the cavern below. You can see some strange supplies that seem to have been left behind by somebody. Boxes of something you can't really tell from this distance. But you can also see that ahead of you is a rather steep staircase made of proper stone. A structure of some sort underneath, which matches the description of what Hutch was telling you before. That this could be the beginning of a dungeon where these mutants or experiments had been experimented on.
Dungeons, check. Now we just need the dragons.
Warren immediately
But
You
see
there was
this.
one on the coin. It's all good. We already got
and
this.
what you notice as you're panning your light around is a thin wispy line of something.
And
And it's not perfectly straight across the staircase entrance. It's more chaotic and kind of jumbled, especially in the corners where your light catches it and seems to shine and reflect. What do you do?
Warren, so he stops, he squints, the little red dots in his eye holes like kind of narrow
tilt.
down. It just kind of like, you know, because he's not looking like to around, he's just looking straight down the hallway there. He kind of like, you know, his hand that's not carrying the lantern just like waving around till it finds Kloom's head, pats on her, and then he's like, I think there's something down there. And he like points down the properly stoned hallway there.
Okay, Gloom kind of, since Gloom would know that Quinn would have that kind of a room that lets him see far, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Gloom kind of beckons Quinn to come over to take a look down to see if they can notice anything deeper down.
Oh, like towards the stairs?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, Quinn notices Kloom gesturing for him, and he takes a final look around the cavern at like he didn't notice anything, but he's just like has a weird feeling. So he just kind of looks around, but
Having
walks
it
over to
pointed
her
out
and
to you, you see this thin thread,
mm-hmm.
and you recognize it rather quickly. That's a web.
Oh.
Oh.
Is he able to see anything further down the staircase?
Make a perception check.
Oh,
I will give you a guidance on that.
Oh.
So
Oh.
21 plus 1d4.
Yeah, guidance only lasts for a minute. She's probably just using it now anyway.
Plus 1.
22.
Okay.
22.
So you can see that there is a large, relatively empty hallway. There's detritus scattered all the way through this hallway and up into it. Bits of moss that have kind of collected along the walls and leftover supplies or tools that have clattered and just been left to decay. But you do see more of these threads crisscrossing almost randomly along the entire hallway.
Warren's gonna look at Quinn and be like, all right, you want me to step on it? Or should we try and step over?
I was thinking about stepping over as well, but there are more webs further down the hallway, crisscrossing. I'm not sure we could avoid every single one of them.
I mean, why don't you just destroy it with your weapons?
That'd be the same as stepping on it, I would imagine.
Well, does your weapon breathe?
I suppose not. I don't. I figure it was more of a alert type of web and not a binding type.
I mean, I would think that something like Quinn's great axe could just chop right through it, which wouldn't. It would make whatever is attached to these webs be on alert, but they won't be able to detect us if none of us are actually touching the web.
Oh, I have an idea. Let me try something real quick.
Takes out Rocky, he's going.
He's like, I took brought Rocky with me. He pulls out his tinder box and he lights one of the tinders and he tries to light the web on fire.
It burns very quickly and easily.
Okay. Does it go through? Does it like go through the whole web, or is it just like all of the strands of web? Are they all connected to each other? Okay.
It goes a little distance and then kind of flickers out. Not enough heat to keep it burning.
Ah, excellent. That Hollywood webs. This is a bit of the fun fact file. Actual spider webs aren't very flammable, but in Hollywood they are because they're always made of cotton.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, very well. Follow behind me. I'll try and burn them as we walk down. So he basically, with his lit tinder, will go through and try and burn every strand as they come, walk down the hallway.
Stepping forward and using effectively a small match to light various things on fire, and you have to, eventually it hits your fingers and you're like, ow, and then you throw that away and you pull out another one and you light that and you keep lighting the fire along. You manage to kind of wiggle your way up northward, and give you just a second here.
Riley's like, God fucking damn it, they're avoiding everything.
That's part of the game. It's part of the game. You get to about this point, and stepping quietly, burning the things along the side. Quinn, you get to see inside of one of these rooms, you see a variety of supplies. Looks like boxes and hay bales and come on, work for me.
I saw some.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And you see there's a very, very large spider that is sitting in a bed of webbing and hay. And it is currently not moving. It is remaining completely still. Its red eyes just kind of staring off into the distance. You can see other detritus in this room, but so far nothing of significant value. Pressing stealthily forward, passing that door.
Just ignore that.
Just ignore that.
Don't worry about it.
You want the tinder box? You can set it on fire.
Yeah. You continue along and see, Warren, you can kind of peek into another room. Your light casts into this space. You see wood and barrels and boxes piled up as if prepared for some sort of construction of something. Standard timber and stone and all sorts of manner of supplies like that. Nothing that really catches your eye. Pressing forward again.
I wonder what the odds are of that spider being one of the transformed people.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
When you peek into the next room, where another spider
Oh no!
God. Just burn
is
the whole
resting
cave.
upon its web, completely oblivious. It twitches once, and you think that it might have spotted you, but then it doesn't move any further. Thanks to a combination of your own efforts of burning the webs away and Clume's spell, you pass, literally,
Without a trace.
without trace. Stepping in, you come to a new area that has... The smell of the space has changed. The humidity of the space has changed. There's this smell of sweat, kind of like a gym mixed with a bit of refuse and decayed food. Like if you take a dump and a gym, you slam them together, that's what you get here.
Ugh.
You have to explain to me what a gym smells like, because I've never been to the gym.
It's just B-O.
Yeah.
B-O. You can see ahead, the path, the hallway ahead, splits off into a variety of cells. Many of the cells have rusty iron bars that go from ceiling to floor. And very, very basic, rooms with a pile of hay thrown into a corner for a bed, a bucket for refuse, and very little else. You also start to pick up on chattering. Sounds deeper from within that sound vaguely like voices, whispers, and grunts. You also hear the sound of bones clattering along the stone floor.
Spooky scare skeletons.
It's not October.
You don't see anything at the moment. That's where you are now. You peer around the corner, and thankfully your stealth is working with you. You can see
Flashing across the screen.
this space are two individuals. Both of them are humanoid, but very, very drastically changed. One of them has their skin has turned blue and slightly translucent. You can see very, very clearly the veins and arteries underneath their skin, this web work of the circulatory system. You can see a little bit of bone from underneath their skin.
They turn into slimes.
You can see their hair is matted and wet, covered in a bit of grease, and you can see pointed elf-like ears, but you can also see their fingers end in long claws, each one of them 6 inches long and pitch black.
Ooh.
The other individual is drooling constantly down the front of what used to be some sort of robe or tunic. A long tongue that ends in barbs is just kind of dangling out of their mouth. Their hair is black and wiry. It looks like it may have once been put into a bun, but it's just gotten so dry and cracked that it looks more like they're wearing a wig of some sort of tumbleweed. Their skin is greenish and pale, but also covered in patches of scales. Their feet are reptilian, and they have a tail that juts out from their spine. It looks like the tail has several bite marks inside of it as well. These two individuals are passively seated, chattering at each other, whispering in gibberish to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And as we've gotten here now, Warren has the light, and as long as they're sighted, we should be fairly obvious.
So he's specifically he has it put out. He's using basically Quinn to navigate.
Okay. So
yeah,
you have put your lamp away.
Yeah, he put it away when we started entering down the tunnel. He only pulled out his tinderbox to light the
So
spider
little
webs.
flashes of light and then nothing else.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The two of you in there, are your minds still intact?
Both of them, upon your first whip their heads in your direction. Their eyes squint as if they can't really see you in this pitch blackness. But then you speak again, and the first one immediately lunges towards the source of the sound. It shoves its arms, its claws immediately through the bars, trying to get at you immediately. So let's see what it does.
Well, I mean,
Instantly lashing out with a 22. Does that hit?
Oh.
Does he get partial
Let's
cover
see.
bonuses?
8 slashing damage as the creature gouges you. The other one hisses and spits in your direction.
Yeah, good job with the talking, by the way.
But a 16, I don't think with partial cover is going to hit you.
No, it will not.
A viscous slime kind of drips down the bars where it did land, and you can see that the slime is pitch black. Probably a blinding regent of some kind. Roll initiative.
Oh boy. See, this is what happens when you try to talk. I'm going to attempt to bonk it.
Okay, bonk it.
I bonk.
Oh my goodness. Well, good news is that bonk that you did knocked it out.
Oh, let's go.
Now, to be clear,
Give it
it's,
a good bonk, and the creature hisses and then slumps in Warren's arms.
is it dead or is it knocked out?
Feels pretty dead. Really hard to tell. Quinn, you feel something icky, something tingling through your veins where you were struck by this creature's strange tongue.
Something unpleasant.
I need you to make another Constitution saving throw.
Wait.
13.
Wow, you are not rolling very good. That's not bad, but it doesn't. It actually just fails. So you are going to take 4 points of poison damage,
Jesus.
and
No
let me look
and.
this up.
No, and.
No and.
Sorry. Oh, it's not. Oh, dang it. Okay. And you are going to be.
Damage.
You're going to have disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks
Jeez.
Ooh.
Alright.
as this stuff courses through your veins, making your muscles feel sluggish and sore.
Alright. Well, he's his shield didn't do him all that great, so he's gonna put that away. And he's just gonna grab his battle axe with both hands and take another swing at this thing.
Do it.
15.
That hits.
Excellent.
Do the damage.
The demolish.
11.
That's really good. Okay, 11 slashing damage as this creature suddenly hisses and howls in agony, this gurgling sound bubbling up from an unused throat.
Excellent. And then, when he does this attack, he will also invoke the fire rune inscribed upon his battle axe. So I'm going to need it to make a strength saving throw.
Oh, you know what? You should have had disadvantage on that attack roll. Go ahead and make it again real quick.
No, please.
No, please.
We'll keep it all if you still... Okay. So we take the 15, so that still all went through, so go ahead and continue. You inscribe the fire rune, and it needs to do a what?
It needs to do a strength saving throw. The DC is 12.
12. Okay, here it goes. It fails. What happens?
Oh.
Alright, so it's going to take 2d6 fire damage, and then it will be restrained for 1 minute by fiery shackles. So as Quinn invokes this rune, you know, he swings, and then fire suddenly sprouts forth and like wraps around this creature, and yeah, it's just
dead.
It's just you give it the good 1-2, the axe and the fire, and
In the boot.
it is too much for its constitution to bear. Its scaled hide withering against the flames that shackle it, and it's almost like it becomes desiccated, sapped of moisture before slumping to the ground, defeated.
Let's go.
Thank you.
So
From
Warren-
sheer.
That
Okay.
was way too much damage.
Warren's, he's gonna be like, this one seems to be a little. Did we get him? We need to treat their wounds. We don't want them to die now.
Coom just
A little late for that, buddy.
Quinn, I need you to make one more Constitution saving throw.
Uh-oh.
Let's go.
I'm gonna start dying here in a minute.
You pass.
18.
You're fine.
So
Hey.
You manage to shrug off the effects of this strange poison and feel this strange tingle as a little bit of normal function returns to your muscles.
Excellent.
Poison.
Okay.
So as Warren mentioning trying to save them, Quinn kind of looks between the two. The very crispy one to his left, and
Because all he saw was a flash of fire, and he has no idea what the state is.
Yep.
and the knock. Is the other one knocked out or dead?
No,
The
its
one
head
dead.
is caved in. You see some brains leaking out.
Yep.
Fair. So he looks at them both. He gives Warren a pat on the shoulder and he says, "They're a little they're quite unsavable, Warren. We should keep moving."
But we were here to save them.
Yes,
And we did in another way.
I don't.
but they were too far gone even by the time we got here.
But were we sure? It's not heroic.
They attacked us on sight, so I would count that as a definitely for sure.
Acts of mercy are heroic, Warren.
He's
you
kind
go.
of at a loss. He's like, but
He's finally learning what it means to be a paladin.
It is something difficult that you're gonna have to deal with, lad. You won't be able to save everyone, and some people will be beyond saving. But that doesn't mean we don't try.
oh,
We,
it feels.
we did try to talk to him at first.
He's just silent. He's just staring at the one. Well, he can't really see, but he's just kind of looking at where the guy is, in his hands. He's
I'm
just
sure,
kind
I'm sure you could probably see some cinders on that burnt corpse.
of just kind of smoking. Kind of looks over. He puts the one down gently on the floor and just kind of stands up. And he's just like, he doesn't say anything. He just sort of stands there and just kind of waits for Quinn to get out of the cell before moving forwards.
And now, there are still more that might be saved.
As you stand there considering the situation, Warren, upset that these two beings, mutated by strange and evil magics to be the creatures that they were, you begin to hear a rising chorus of jittering jeers and screeches from deeper within the dungeon. And that is where we're going to end our session tonight.
Okay.
God.